once in a while, you come across a game that just ticks all of your boxes. The right look, the right feel, the right vibes, just something that feels tailor-made to your tastes. Pseudoregalia is a game that I checked out on a whim, and it wound up being one of those games for me. Pseudoregalia was whipped up by a solo developer who goes by Ritzler, with a soundtrack by composers Potato Teto, Plus W+, and Still Crisp. The first version of this game was made for a month-long game jam, and after taking home the gold in that competition, Ritzler put another few months of work into expanding the game before releasing it in July of 2023. Pseudoregalia is a movement-focused 3D Metroidvania game taking place in the realm of sleep. You play as Sybil, the goat bunny cat lady, appearing from a mirror with an unclear but seemingly critical mission. Right away, what drew me into this game was the visuals. We're seeing a sort of Y2K, early 3D aesthetic renaissance in indie games lately. Atlas and Valheim come to mind as standout examples. I grew up on the N64, so a low-poly art style is an easy way to draw me in. Pseudoregalia goes for a somewhat gloomy, almost dreamlike sort of atmosphere, and it really nails it. Colors are muted, the lighting is often dim or foggy, and there's a sense that some of the spaces you're exploring just aren't quite right. The composer's compositions suit this game's dreaminess perfectly, helping to create this sort of unease about just what kind of place you're in. Sybil and the other entities here all move in a lower frame rate than the rest of the game, which really helps to sell the retro look. But you can disable this if it's a negative for you. There's also a toggle to give Sybil pants, just in case the skimpiness of her default outfit puts you off. Being that this is a Metroidvania, Sybil starts off with just her basic movement, and you'll unlock the rest of her abilities as you explore more of the distorted castle. The first one you'll probably come across is her weapon, the Dream Breaker. It's got a little 3-piece combo, and you can use it to smack enemies and breakables. Sybil's got a Zelda-style lock-on with the right bumper, and combat as a whole is pretty straightforward. No parries or fancy dodge rolls here. There's enemies scattered throughout the castle, but none of them felt very threatening to me. Except maybe the living statues. As you fight, you build up your power level, and the higher it is, the more damage you'll do with your attacks. You can also choose to spend your power meter to heal yourself, and I really appreciated how this gave me a way to keep myself going as I ventured further away from save points. As solid as the combat is, though, I would argue that it's not really the focus here. Pseudoregalia's greatest strength, somehow even more so than the atmosphere, is definitely its movement. Sybil starts off with the usual running, jumping, and a handy ledge grab, but pretty soon you'll see her toolkit expanding in ways that are almost exclusively geared towards Shmovement. Movement is king for me in games. I love to go fast and press a lot of buttons, and Pseudoregalia delivers on that in spades. The first movement power-up I found was the Sun Greaves. These give Sybil a little kick she can do up to 3 times in the air before landing. If you kick into a wall, she'll bounce off of it with a different angle depending on how you hit the wall. At first this just seems like a roundabout wall jump, but you'll quickly find out that shallower angles let you ride along walls almost completely straight. And Sybil's toolkit just keeps expanding from there. A high jump, a long jump, even a wall run, all of which have their own little quirks to get a handle on, and all of them mixing to create some of the most open-ended, tightest, and downright fun movement I've ever experienced in a Metroidvania. I had a blast trying to find clever ways to get from point A to point B, and with how freeform the movement is, I was never even sure where the developer intended for me to go next. It often felt like if I could just find the right sequence of moves and execute well, nothing was truly out of my reach at any given point. In fact, I don't even know if there is an intended path through this game. There's no sequence to break here. This game's content is built with full awareness of just how exploitable the movement is. Your goal is to find 5 major keys to open up a door to the finale, but you can grab these in whatever order you just happen to come across them in. I found the 2nd key first, and the 5th key second in my playthrough. With a few exceptions, like needing a special move to break through these green walls, it always felt like clever use of whatever power-ups I just happened to have would somehow be enough to get me anywhere I wanted to go. If you really want to test your mastery of this game's movement, there's also these timed orb collecting minigames. I had a lot of fun trying to figure out the routes for these and to practice my execution of them. It's super satisfying when you finally pull them off, and they even unlock some cute little outfits for Sybil, as a treat. Really, the only criticism I can make of this game is that it's pretty light on the plot. The game's tone and atmosphere give the impression that something sinister might be waiting to be discovered. Folks keep mentioning the princess and the corruption slowly overtaking the castle. There's not really a grand payoff, though. Things are kept pretty vague. There's all these notes scattered around the game, but they're not interactable. I sort of get the sense that the developer had more planned in the way of lore here, but for whatever reason decided not to follow through with that. Combined with this game's somewhat short runtime, about 6 hours for me personally, I think you could even consider this game's plot-light nature to be a plus. It's one of those stories that largely leaves itself open to interpretation. Pseudoregalia is hands down one of the most fun things I've played this year. It's short, it's fast-paced, and it rewards clever play in a way that reminds me of some of the better Mario 64 ROM hacks I've played. Even without the randomizer mod that shuffles the locations of power-ups and keys, this game's sheer open-endedness could keep me coming back for dozens of repeat playthroughs. At the time of writing this, you can pick this game up for about $7 on Steam, and it's some phenomenal bang for your buck. I couldn't recommend this one more, and I'm stoked to see what the Ritzler puts out next.